take a risk, do what's in your heart, and you will find a whole world opens up to you.
Welcome to the Relentless Momentum podcast, and let's welcome our very special guest today, the one and only, well, he's a comedian, a writer, a presenter, an actor, and an Australian icon. Glenn Robbins, welcome.
Tony, lovely to be here.
Good to meet you at last.
Sorry, yeah, that's good. Yeah, well, you were on my podcast, and then you said, "Can I cross over the bridge and come and do yours?" And you jumped in there quick, and here I am. Yeah,
Thank you, mate. Really appreciate it. Good to show you around the gym and have a quick chat before we started. And we've sort of crossed paths with many mutual friends over the years, so it's kind of great to have you here, man.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah. So you grew up not too far from here?
Yeah. I grew up in
Strathmore?
Strathmore, yes. Yeah. Well done. Grew up in Strathmore, went to Strathmore High, and then, was probably wanted to go into the theatre, into the arts, and didn't have the guts to do it. And then I went and worked in an insurance company and realised I didn't want to be in insurance and went, no, I want to go. And so I ended up becoming a drama teacher.
A drama teacher? Like in schools? Or?
Yeah. And that kind of got me, because in my time, stand-up comedy didn't really exist back in, because I started in the early 80s. Yep. It didn't really, stand-up as you know it now wasn't around. It was more character-based. It was more magicians and singers and dancers, and stand-up really like we know it now, like Jerry Seinfeld, was only just starting in the States. And so I started doing all the characters I did on the comedy company, which I did Uncle Arthur, I did an exercise guy. So I started doing those live. So when the comedy company came along, I was able to draw on those characters. So I was sort of influenced by Edna Everage, Barry Humphries.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to do. So yeah, it sort of started. Yeah, it probably started in the early 80s. Yeah.
And at what stage did you kind of realise, I'm just going to well, it started with insurance. You didn't like that.
Yeah.
You weren't being a drama teacher. What stage were you like, I want to just burn the boat and just lean right into this and make it my life? Because you've got to have the balls and the vision to do it.
You do, especially when I was doing it, because I remember I said to my dad, I want to go into acting, and he went nuts. He just went, "You'll be unemployed, you'll be a bum on the streets, blah, 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 blah." And my mother was very supportive. So I followed the dream and pursued it. And ironically, the character that kind of got me over the line was Uncle Arthur, that character that I used to play in the old man character in the comedy company.
And was that loosely based on your dad?
Oh, totally based on my dad.
Totally based on your
Ironically, so given that he didn't want me to do it, I end up, becoming known for doing him. I think the real turning point for me was sitting in the insurance company going, if I don't answer this calling in me, I'll move from this in 15 years' time. I won't be sitting here. I'll be sitting over there, and that's as good as it gets, know. And I went, I've got to listen to my heart and follow it. And it was scary. So I auditioned for drama school, and my marks were okay in year 12, but not great. And luckily, I did the interview well, and went to do drama teaching at Melbourne State College.
Right. And how many years did you do that for?
That was a 4-year course, and then I came out from that, and I would basically do teaching during the day, and then I would do gigs at night.
Right.
And I started off doing lots of different characters, as I said, and then I learnt to be me as me. I had to learn how to be me because I didn't know how to be me on stage.
Right, so when you started your stand-up, it was a lot of just character-based stuff.
Yeah, monologue.
Not slapstick.
Well, yeah, it was monologue-based characters like Uncle Arthur, like Edna Everage would do, sort of. So.
And would you go into your
full makeup,
the outfit, the makeup,
full
the hair,
makeup, you'd have
the comb over, the whole bit?
Yep, the whole thing. I had to travel around with that, and so it was so I never really learnt to be me. And the people who ran the Last Laugh said, "We want you to start hosting," and I went, "Ooh, how do I do that?" And I went to the States, and stand-up was a bit more progressed over there.
Yeah.
And went to every show that I could possibly go to, and they had a certain conversational style that I thought, I think that's what I'll do. I'll do that style, which is kind of me just having a chat to the audience, and I learned how to do it. It wasn't my passion. Characters were my passion, but it gave me an extra string to my bow in the long run, because I could end up doing shows like The Panel and Have You Been Paying Attention, and, and be on an interview show or a panel show and know how to be funny.
Yeah, and also to be able to be a straighter guy with a real funny twist.
Yeah.
Because some of those shows, require intellect and social commentary and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Compared to stand-up. And I remember talking to Arnold about it. In fact, when I was interviewing him once, and he talked about when he did Twins, which was his first comedy breakout. And he did the same thing. He said, I immersed myself with the best comedians I could find. So he'd go to a cigar comedy place with Milton Berle, Rodney Dangerfield, Danny DeVito, and just listen to them do one-liners and jokes, and just learn about delivery and timing and the confidence of being almost able to do stand-up.
And what happens initially is you kind of, if you're inspired by someone, you kind of copy them, and then eventually your voice comes out. You learn to have your own voice rather than being like somebody else. So you go, and then that's quite scary, because you don't know if that part of you is funny or worthwhile to be on stage. And then you do it and people respond to it. And it's like anything, it's scary at first. And then you go, I can do this. And it gives you the courage then to move forward and do it. Because when you're in character, you hide behind the character.
Yeah.
And the character's saying those things. It's not me saying those things. What happens if I say those things? Can I still be funny? So learning and trusting that was a big step for me.
Well, I think that's how Barry Humphries got away with a lot of
So
stuff
much.
he wouldn't get away with now, because it wasn't him saying it. It was
That's exactly right. And
Sir Les Patterson or Dame Edna or whoever was being politically incorrect, which wasn't a thing back then. But
it's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, the character is kind of bulletproof in a way.
Yeah.
Because they're not real, and it's not really them. And it's kind of a magical thing that happens. And I know that when I'm in character, I don't always know what I'm going to say. Meaning, I'll say stuff that's really funny, and I go, I don't know where that came from. It came from the character, and the character's in me somewhere.
Yeah.
But I had to sort of let go of that and then learn to be myself. So
it's a nice way to step into stand-up, really, to have a character to walk you into it. Because I think stand-up's got to be the most terrifying thing in the world.
Yeah,
People don't get
absolutely.
it. So, we haven't talked a lot about what I do, but I MC big bodybuilding shows all over the world.
Yeah.
And I love being funny. I can be on stage and I'll just pick a moment, at someone else's expense or someone in the audience will heckle, and I'll go mad. But if it bombs, and sometimes it does, sometimes I think I'm more fucking funnier than what I am. Sometimes I'll have everyone in hysterics, so I'll just keep going until they stop. But then if it bombs, I can go, anyway, back to the show, our next competitor.
That's
you
right.
can't do that in stand-up. If you bomb on stage, it's got to be the loneliest, most fucking terrifying,
absolutely humiliating,
most soul-destroying place in the world.
I am going to stand up here now and try and be funny. You're not, and it's like, oh my God. And then you can feel it. And the trick is to really, if you're bombing, let go. Lean into the skid. Because if you pretend, if you try and pretend that you're getting away with it, the audience knows. I remember seeing a guy once who came down from Sydney and he was doing a show in Melbourne, and he bombed the whole way through it, and they just didn't like him. He got to the end, and he went, anyway, that's enough from me. Hey, I came out, I gave him my best shot. I wasn't right for you guys, but it's okay. And the audience loved him. And then he left, and they wanted him to stay,
right? Because
he's acknowledged it in the room and gone, you know what, I had some fun, but you didn't, and that's okay. Yeah. It's okay. It's what art is. It's taking a risk and then understanding. You learn a lot more from failure than you do success.
Yeah. I always say, success is failure turned inside out.
Yeah.
One of my favourite sayings.
Yeah.
But it must be, terrifying. And as you said, being able to read the temperature of the room, and then when it's fading and you can't win back. So as you said, you've just got to drill down, get through it, thank them for staying and get out of there. But then you might get distracted by a heckler or someone, 1 in 100 doesn't like what you're saying. And you can't let that get to you either at the expense of all the people who are having a laugh.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I've often looked at someone in the crowd and gone, I'm going to make that person laugh. And you don't, and then you meet them afterwards and they go, I had the best night. You go, but you didn't laugh. You go, oh, no.
This is how I look.
Yeah, this is how I look. But you've got a boxing ring here, and it's a little, not unlike that with a boxer. He has to learn how to make that guy, draw that guy into fighting the fight that he wants to fight, as opposed to just getting angry and throwing punches. You have to think it through. So you will see a good stand-up. They will read the room, they'll change gear, and they'll drop into another gear to bring them back around and then go with them. If they stay on the same line, they were going to die on the arse. So it's almost, you've got to learn to have different gears in your gearbox. As a fighter has different ways to fight, knowing when to...
Chess.
Yeah.
Audience chess.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I remember I talked to Costa Zoo once, and I said to him, what happens when you get punched in the face? He goes, that is when I dig deep and I really concentrate, because it tells me I wasn't, because when you get punched hard in the face, the temptation is to get angry.
Yeah.
With stand-up, sometimes you get angry and you blame the audience. You go, no, now I have to really think. I've got to change my game, the way I'm doing it, and that's what you learn through flying hours. I'm sure you've learned a lot in the stuff you've done, where you spend time learning who you are, learning a side of yourself, but also learning different ways. And like you say,
different
make
ways,
a joke.
different techniques.
And it's great because you go, here's a joke. Oh, it didn't work. Anyway, here's Arnold, which is a great thing. But it's you're listening and you're reading the room and you're being smart.
Yeah, it's a real skill set.
Yeah.
And and I'd be interested how you compare that, like, obviously with all your film work and all your TV shows and your characters, from Comedy Company to Kath Kim, and one of my favourites, Russell Coight.
Oh, thank you.
Becoming that. Well, mate, how could you not love him as an Australian?
Yeah.
That character, and doing the ads with it and all that now. But I wanted to ask you, comparing that, the safety of that, because you can do a second take, you can get it right, you go, oh, you know what, it didn't feel right, let's shoot it again. But you don't get that instant gratification that you get with stand-up. That's got to be a huge difference. One, it's safer, and it's, I guess a show can bomb, but it's already paid for and produced and all that. But, you might shoot something, you're shooting something at the moment, might not come out till mid next year.
Yeah.
You don't get that kind of gratification you get from being live on stage.
No, that's true. The audience gives you direct feedback, which is fantastic. When I shoot things, and I love working on film, I love working with a good director and a good crew. You feel the response. You feel when you read the room, you feel it, and you just know it's exactly like doing this. Yep. You know when it's when it's in flow. You know when it's, and you also know, and you know what you have to do. So I do get the satisfaction. I just shot something just before, and you do get a lot of satisfaction. And I had to work with another comedian, and I had to learn his rhythm to make him look good. So it's very satisfying to go, okay, we got the comedy right, I made him look good, and the whole thing came together. Like a band.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to be singing in tune. And if you can get everyone working together correctly, whether it's playing sport, whether it's doing art, whether it's playing music, it's the same. There's a sense of flow and letting go and just staying in the moment. It's great.
Can imagine. And at what stage did you go full time where you didn't have to be a drama teacher anymore?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Where comedy and acting and doing what you do made a living?
Yeah, I was teaching like 3 or 4 days a week and earning $100 a day teaching. And so there just came a point in the early 80s where I was getting so much stand-up work that I just didn't have the energy to teach anymore. So I reckon I taught for 7 years and crossed over with the stand-up. And then it kind of went teaching with stand-up for a number of years, and that led into television.
Right.
So it was kind of a stepping stone to television. So, and I experimented with all my characters, as I said before, in the live world. So then I went to television, I had a whole kit of stuff.
You sure did.
Yeah, I had a whole kit of stuff that I had worked in front of an audience. I knew they worked. So, and the people were going, where are all these characters coming from? And I go, well, that's because I've been doing it on stage for so long. You know, I can
You know the characters.
Yeah. So it was a transition probably over, I don't know, I think, as I said, I started in the late 80s. The Comedy Company was probably, there was a show before the Comedy Company, like a mini version of the Comedy Company in 86 or 7.
Yep.
But the Comedy Company was probably my first big step. So it took about 8 years to make that transition
that's
to
what
TV.
it takes.
So once I started doing television, I didn't do as much live work. There are lots of comedians who love doing stand-up, but as I said, I love doing the character work. So therefore, I moved into advertising, into sketch shows, and so I didn't do as much. I would do it occasionally. I would go and do stand-up, but I don't love it as much as they do, and I'm not as good. And it's not my forte really. But having said that, I did.
But it's probably been a great call because you've become like a national treasure, if I may say.
Oh, that's very kind.
As a fan, like I've watched your characters evolve over the years, watched you evolve as an actor. And man, you're unbelievable. Which character do you think's brought you the most joy and the most? You the most joy and the most love from the fans.
It's like being a part of different communities. Like in the sketch world, I knew all these wonderful people, and I had Uncle Arthur and a few other characters. The big ones have been probably Uncle Arthur, Russell Coight, and Kel. They're probably the big...
Kel Knight.
Kel Knight from Kath Kim.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I love any of them more than others because they represent my relationship with different groups of people. And when I'm doing Cal, I really love it. And when I'm doing Russell Coight, I do that with the guys from Working Dog who did...
it looks like fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's hard work because on paper, I probably wouldn't have done that show on paper, but I had Tom Gleisner and the Working Dog team. We did it together. Yeah. So if you go in with a team like that, you go, I can do this. But on paper, I mean, every scene, with just Russell Coight, every scene, and you got to be funny in every scene. And we didn't work with actors in that show. I don't know whether you know, but all the people we used were real.
Right.
They were farmers. They were locals. So I had to sort of try and keep the comedy alive and try to draw out the comedy from someone who was just over shearing some sheep. Now suddenly they're on the camera, shitting themselves, going, "Oh, I hope I don't fuck it up." So, in answer to your question, I love them all, but those three are very, very close to my heart.
Yeah, look, I think Russell Coight seems to have had so much air, and now with the Mitsubishi ads and everything else. But
yeah,
I think it's just so relatable because he thinks he's a bit better than what he is.
Well,
and his fallback is he fails most of the time. And
that's exactly right. When we first shot him, we made him a bit of an asshole, and he would get angry with people because things wouldn't work properly. We watched it back and we went, no, don't make him an asshole. Make him someone who does think he's great. And the audience will then watch him fail. And everyone knows Russell's going to fail except for Russell. Yes. And that's the joy of it. And the further he takes himself up in importance, the further he falls. So when you're dealing with that, it's a really nice feeling knowing that I'm going to trip myself up and I'm going to make myself look stupid. As opposed to getting aggressive with someone and yelling at them, going, and you're going, we didn't like him being angry. He would get a little bit annoyed, but he'd always try to blame somebody else, but he would never get angry.
There's a big difference between the annoyance and the anger. You know? And it makes him more relatable and more likeable and just more vulnerable, I guess, too.
That's exactly right. So we just did that. And then, so you're right. Then you just go, okay, we've got a crocodile tomorrow. What do you want to do? How can we make that funny? Russell gets bitten on the cock. I mean, and you kind of go, how are we going to do that? He'll walk into that billabong there, and he'll be, and we'll stitch the crocodile to my cock, to a bit of wood down my pants, and I'll jump up, and don't worry. The writing was a lot harder than that.
Yeah.
But it was that much fun.
Must be pretty satisfying when it's all put together and it comes out, and you know.
Well, you shoot it long. You shoot a lot of stuff. Obviously, it's scripted because you have to have things made and built and actors employed. But on the day, it does grow a little bit more because you're working with props that are well prepared for me to mess up, and you can play a moment over a few different ways
And improvise and add to it.
Improvise.
Draw
exactly,
out a funny moment.
Yeah,
I guess particularly working with shearers and farmers and hillbillies or whatever, that if you get a bite out of someone, you can just keep rolling.
Yeah, and the hard part was sometimes I would go, can you stop doing that? The character was saying, can you stop doing that? Like, might be coughing or farting or something. And I'd go, can you stop doing that? Well, we're on the camera. And you go, oh, sorry. No. Russell's saying stop it. I'm not saying stop it. So you keep on doing that and I'll get annoyed, okay? And they go, okay. So I took a few takes. And I used to do scenes where I'd go, can you cough a lot? But we had to get... So I would have my foot on their foot and I'd be talking to them, weather's looking pretty... Every time I tap you on the foot, can you cough, right? So... weather's looking a little bit like it might get some rain over the next couple of days. yeah. And the bloody the halves this time of year, express on your foot. And I go, can you stop coughing? So it was a bit like a one-man band because he didn't quite have the comedy timing of knowing when to cough, but I squeezed him on the foot, and so it was really fun doing that. Really fun.
Yeah. I guess you've got to get them to buy into the character now. Just you've talked a lot about your characters, but you seem like a fairly private sort of guy off camera. I really get that.
Yeah.
How do you deal with instant recognition and people approaching you and just sometimes just wanting to be invisible? How do you handle it?
Look, I am lucky that I've made people laugh. So so most people are delightful, wonderful, and say beautiful things. In fact, through COVID, I got a lot. I got a lot. Even now, still now, I get a lot of people just saying thank you so much for making me happy when I was so sad. And if that's what you've done in life, it does not get any better than that.
Doesn't get any better.
You could, and to be able to give them a hug and say, I hope you're doing okay now, is such an honour and a pleasure that I was able to. So I get beautiful stories told to me. I was in a shopping centre the other day, getting frustrated with not being able to find where Telstra was, and I'm sort of going, where am I? Where am I going? What am I doing? And a woman came up and said, "Are you Glenn Robbins?" And I went, "Yep." And I was a little frustrated, but I didn't. And then she went, "I'm going through a really bad divorce at the moment, and I just wanted to say that when I watch you, it's the only time I'm happy during the week, and I want to thank you for that." She melted my heart. Yeah. I gave her a hug and said, "Oh my God." And it's just sort of like you worry about all these important things, and then someone says that to you, it brings you right back down to earth. And I'm so lucky that I get to give people that. Yeah. So most of the time,
I get that.
Yeah, most of the time. The only problem I have is around alcohol. Often when people
bit boisterous.
Yeah, they get a
rowdy,
a little touchy-feely, a little bit, want to get
challenging.
Me and it's hard not to go, can you not get me in a headlock? Just because you had a few drinks doesn't mean you can get me in a headlock.
I'm not going to tell you a joke. Calm down.
Yeah, that's right. So, as I said, but most of the time, 99% of the time, it's fine. And I remember one time, I was coming back from Sydney and I had a bottle of wine in my bag, and I threw the bottle of wine out of the cab, and I heard crack, which meant the bottle of wine had broken and had just gone through my entire bag. And a girl comes up and goes, "Can I get a photograph?" I went, "Not now." And she didn't know what I was going through. I'm going, "Oh no, I've destroyed everything." And then I was mortified that I'd given her bad energy. So I went around the airport and I found her. And she goes, "No, it's okay. I said, no, please, look at my bag. Look, this is what happened. Let's do a photograph now." And it was great. It was great.
Yeah, I can see that. And I mean, I know with all the projects I do, and like fairly intense and been self-employed since I was a kid in a similar sort of way, and sort of being the head, the face of the fitness industry. Sometimes you have a certain responsibility, and it's really hard to switch off. So what do you do to unwind? Like, what's where's your happy place?
That's a good question. I've surfed all my life, so I spent a lot of time.
I thought I'd read somewhere you surfed.
Yeah. So getting into salt water, just swimming, surfing, body surfing. As soon as I hit salt water, it just balances me right out. So there's that. Like a lot of guys my age, I play a bit of golf when I go away on golf trips. And the rest is kind of spending time with family and grandkids. I mean, just to spend time with grandkids is just magnificent.
How many grandkids?
Well, two. I'm a step-grandfather, if you like. Yeah, same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah. Two. Yeah.
Two.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
It's beautiful.
And with the surfing, have you been to like places where you've been on surfing tours and
stuff?
Yeah,
we've had. I've surfed a bit in the Maldives, in Indonesia, in Hawaii. So I haven't like surfing in places in Bali or in the Maldives. As much as you can do it the right way, you've got to be careful. Just because at my age, you can get into trouble. You've got to make sure you do it the right way. So my trips overseas of late haven't been as...
But you're still getting out into the water?
Oh, yeah. I surf a longboard now. I mean, I'm 68. So, you just got to make sure you don't do anything
Well, you look like a fit 68. What do you do to keep
I'm
fit?
glad. That's good to hear coming...
No, I mean it. I mean, some people look twice their age, and
yeah. Well, I don't drink.
Don't drink at all?
Well, I used to drink a bit more when doing stand-up. The bar's always open. Just bring it on.
Everyone's buying you drinks. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and so I don't drink, and I've never really done drugs, but I haven't at all. Like the whole gamut of things that are available. Why didn't I do it?
I imagine in your world you would have had plenty of access.
Yeah. I reckon it was a control thing. I don't reckon I like being out of control, and I fear that drugs will put me. I'm sure there's an upside.
Yep.
But I'm also sure there's a downside. And I don't like being out of control, so to speak. Am I a control freak? Well, maybe I'm just smart. I don't know. So what was the question again?
What do you do to keep fit?
Oh yeah. And I go to the
your
gym.
Workout? Yeah.
Yeah, I joined an over 50s gym. And I'm going there this afternoon. I do cardio, weights, Pilates, all the standard things that people can do. And I do some weight work. I've got Roger Federer arms. I've got a body that muscles I don't put on muscle, but I remain relatively fit. I mean, I've got some health issues, but I'm doing okay. So I love going to the gym. I love it, and it's so much more for the mind than it is.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I was just going to follow up with that to say that it's. From the outside, it's what people don't see. And I remember, I did a lot of media during the lockdowns, because Victoria, we had the longest lockdowns in the world, but gyms were shut 367 days, which was 100 days longer than retail and hospitality. And I sort of had to be the face of that, and did a lot of media with it and all the rest of it. And also got a lot of love and feedback from people afterwards. But the thing I kept pushing and stuck to, instead of being the angry gym owner and talking about, and we'd had our incomes taken away, but I talked about mental health the whole time. I just said, people don't understand. You think people go to the gym to flex their muscles and take selfies and do all this sort of thing. But most of it, particularly blokes, go to cope. Because they're going through hell at work. As Arnold taught me, because he did a lot of surveys when he was Governor of California, 75% of people hate their jobs. Not dislike, fucking hate. Dread. Imagine waking up every day just dreading it, going, oh, God, how am I going to get through another day? And they do get through another day. They might get bullied at work, might have a poor relationship, or just work with pricks. And they go, you know what? If I get to the gym, everything will be okay. Everything will be fine. And it's just having that outlet, just that place to go. Like you said, it might be salt water, it might be a punching bag, it might be a pool table or golf. But for a lot of people, it's the gym.
And with like-minded people who are also going through their own thing, and just that sense of release that it gives you. Because the easy thing is, I mean, I don't want to sound like you're preaching, but But that thing is, there are things out there that if you're feeling a bit stressed, you can go to that work, like for some people, like alcohol or drugs or shopping or eating or I don't know, looking for trouble somewhere. And those things can give you a sense of relief. But that's not the healthy behaviour. I mean, when there's trouble here, go to the body, whether it's exercising and or breathing exercises, which calm you. But I just know since I get on the exercise bike and I can just feel it going out of me. Yeah. And
I feel it and see it every day. It's just so important for people to have that release. And I think, with men's mental health particularly, it's not always about talking about your problems. People go, you just got to talk it out. I don't know. Sometimes we don't really need to say it. We just need to switch off.
Yeah.
Just have a moment of
That's
nothing.
True. That's true.
And you can get that. Like some people meditate.
Yeah.
But I meditate lifting weights.
Yeah.
That's
very true.
Riding a motorcycle. Because you're in the. It's like surfing. You've got to be in the moment. If
that's
you're not,
right.
you're either going to get eaten by a shark or you're going to get dumped by a wave.
Yeah.
Or in my case, hit by a car or a truck. So you have to be so fucking, laser focused that you forget about everything else. It just switches off.
Yeah, and you can't not. You know what I mean? It's not like you can, when you are in flow, you actually do focus. And it's like when you're surfing, try and worry about something and you can't.
Yeah, right.
Because your brain goes, now's not
now.
not now.
Yeah.
We're in this beautiful moment. And to stay in that moment is just great.
Yeah, and I think, with Jim and the thing I've seen over the years, with young and old, is the discipline it gives you. The fact that you have to show up and you have to do it when you don't feel like it, and you have to sometimes, feel like, I don't know. Like so many times I say to people, I say, how's your training? I go, look, I trained this morning, I reckon it was a 3 out of 10. It was absolute shit. But it's a lot better than a 0. And if I had stayed and slept in or sat around on the couch, I would have really hated myself and I probably would have had a really shitty day. So I'm just glad I did something.
Yeah.
Anything's better than nothing. You can't always be 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
It's just that. I think the regularity and the discipline and just fucking having a healthy habit.
Yeah, and I guess from what you're given that you help people, I guess, and like you say, 3 out of 10, it's okay to fail. It's okay not for it to be the perfect workout. That's what's good about it. Like when I do a Pilates class, I go, sometimes I go, I didn't really nail that. And you go, it doesn't matter. You did it. You got out and you did it. And that's the most important.
I always think, you don't have regret about the things you do. It's about the things you don't do. And it's like when you said that you knew if you had stayed at that insurance company, you may have been there in 20, 30 years getting a Seiko watch or something and a pat on the back. And to me, that's fucking terrifying. I've worked for myself all my life because, I didn't even do year 12. I quit school. I go, this is not for me.
Yep.
And same thing, my poor dad, he just wanted me to get something behind me. And it's like your dad with your acting was like, oh, no, you're going to fail. How's it ever going to pay your bills? I'm like, Dad, I have to. I can't go work in a bank or an insurance company or be an accountant or a school teacher because I will end up on the scrap heap. It terrifies me, the thought of dying with regret.
Yes.
Just wondering, what if I had have quit that job? What if I had have had a crack? What if I had done stand-up that night, which has led to this amazing life and becoming who you are?
Yeah, it's very true. It's very true. And it's that thing, there's the fear in you, the fear of failure, the fear of embarrassment, and there's also the passion in you. And fear, you probably have a lot of wonderful theories on fear that I'd love to hear, but the power of fear is good, and if you allow it to control you too much, you won't take risks. You've got to go, okay, I've got to take a risk here. And I did it on a TV show called The Panel. When I was first on that, I'm going, I can't do this show. I can't be as smart as these guys. And I was petrified, going, I'm going to make myself look stupid. Then I went, you know what? If I just say what's in my head, I'm sure I'll represent some people out there. And I started doing that, and I did. People said to me, you don't say much, but I really like it when you do speak. And I would do something, I'd make a joke, and Rob Sitch would turn to me and go, that was really good, where'd that come from? And I go, I don't know. I didn't prepare it. It just came out. So when you open up to that side of yourself and go, I'm okay. I'm worth. it's worth me saying that or doing that, the reward you get is immense. And there will always be vulnerability, whether you're lifting weights, doing a painting, writing a book. There's always the vulnerability of failure and fear, and your ego will often step in and go, don't you embarrass me. I do not want to be embarrassed. So your ego becomes so powerful. Why didn't you do it? Oh, I didn't want to do it. And the real answer is you didn't want to fail. You didn't want to embarrass yourself. Take a risk, do what's in your heart, and you will find a whole world opens up to you.
Yeah, it's incredible, that mindset. You know, as a presenter and an interviewer and an MC, I've never once had notes.
I noticed that.
I prepare.
Yeah.
I prepare mentally.
You stay
and I
in
think
the
it
moment.
through.
Yeah.
But the ultimate for me is having no idea what's going to come out of my mouth. In fact, when I do big shows, I walk out with a microphone and I think, what am I going to fucking say? And I start with, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And then out it comes. And when I get that right, it is the most satisfying, gratifying.
It's trust.
In the moment, just what you've described, just to be yourself and to say, you know what? I can make them laugh, I can make them cry, but I'm going to make them present. I'm going to give back what they're giving to me and feed off them. And I can be reclusive, but when I've got a microphone and a camera, you know, it just brings it. I don't know.
But you're giving to them a different side of you.
Yeah.
That probably initially you might not have known was there. And same as me, you don't know where this stuff comes from. You go, that was pretty interesting what I just said.
It's a funny thing, you know. I look back and I forget half the things I say. In fact, particularly with live shows and somewhat interviews, I'll go back and watch, oh shit, I forgot I said that. But when you said my thoughts on fear, you know, I've always been a deep thinker, a bit of a philosopher, and try to be a motivator, just to help people to be their best, because I've had a good shot. Yeah. You know, I got given a shot by my idol, by Arnold. You know, I got to open the gym. I got to run the sport that I love. So I figure I've had my shot, so I love to help other people to get their shot and take that risk. But I've always said there's three things that will stop you achieving your dreams. And one is self-doubt, which we all have. Yep. And once you know that we all have it, it's okay. Yep. So what?
Yeah, we all do. Yep.
The other one is fear of failure.
Yep.
Fear of just making a dick of yourself or making a fool of yourself or getting laughed at or ridiculed. Okay, everyone has fear of failure. Roger Federer does. The greatest golfers does it. Your mate Warney would have, every time he went out for the first time, he go, what if I haven't got it? Look, we all have fear of failure, but it can't hold you back. And the last one is worrying about what other people think. Yep. You know, that can be so overriding. You know, what will mum and dad think? You know, what will Auntie Irene think if I go out and get a tattoo? You know, or what will, you know, that school teacher think if I ride a motorcycle or don't finish uni? Like, whatever it is, you can be so controlled by... As I said, self-doubt, fear of failure, worrying about what other people think. And if you can get through all of that and take a risk and go, well, how do I want to look back on my life? Do I want to look back with regret? Yep. You know, and wondering what if, and just play it safe because that's what we're kind of educated and nurtured to do. Or just go, fuck it. Yep. Fuck it. I don't want to be that guy. I do not, you know, I live in the city and I look at all those boxes of offices every day and I'm so grateful. I just go, oh, God, imagine sitting there in that fucking screen and fluoros and all those fuckwits at the coffee machine, just waiting for Friday. Yep. You know, it's funny because people say, a good day for a Monday, a good day for a Friday. I don't give a fuck. I work 7 days. Well, I love it. I'm in. Yeah. You know, it's a funny thing, isn't it?
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. So it's that part of you, that little boy or that little girl in you that is scared, but also knows what they really want to say and what they want to do. And it's just giving voice to that. And that's why when failure comes along, to not give up. It's okay. And the fear of what people think is so powerful. And that is a real challenge because people are going to think I'm stupid. And
I told you so.
Yeah. And people want that. Yeah. Because they're threatened by the fact that you were vulnerable and it brought you success. And a part of them going, I wish I could do that, but I haven't got the guts to do it. So, but I never think of it in a competitive sense, like I'm doing better than you. I just go, you know, I'm having fun. Let's come on over and let's have fun together.
It looks like you've had a lot of fun, you know. Yeah. And I think that I can be so overriding. I think me personally, for a long time, I thought I'd do everything to prove everyone wrong because everyone said you're going to fail. Who do you think you are? You're fucking smart. You know, all this sort of thing. And instead of trying to prove other people wrong, I started to try and prove myself right.
Yes.
And just that little switch in
right.
mindset,
That's right.
actually gives me a lot more satisfaction because the people that you're trying to get approval from, they don't give a fuck about you anyway.
No, they don't.
You know, when you fail, they're going to say, told you so, you're always shit.
Yeah.
Or if you have a win, they go, oh, you got lucky.
Yeah.
You're only on telly because you got lucky.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. You worked your fucking ass off developing characters and personas and having the confidence to pull it off daily, you know, where your producers and writers and filmmakers are going, holy fucking shit, what have we got here? I mean, you must get some great satisfaction, don't know, just looking back over what you've done and what you've become and what you mean to Australians.
Well, look, I guess I think of it in terms of how lucky I am to work with the people that I work with, that they took a risk with me and they allowed me to, they allowed me to let go and just do what I really felt. And when you've got good people around you who, when you fall over, they catch you, they don't step over you, they catch you. Because I know on the panel, when I was doing that show, often I would say something that was, often I would take a risk and say something and it would work. And I always maintained that they built the jetty for me to jump off the end. And occasionally I'd build a jetty for them to jump off the end. In other words, so you work together, you lead each other, but if, like I said, if I fell over, they didn't go. When it's competitive, they'll go, we'll push you out of the way because you don't count.
Now I can shine.
Now I can shine. Whereas good people go, it's okay. Just keep on moving forward. Keep on punching, keep on dancing, you know.
I mean, it must be, it's a funny time that we live in compared to when you started, or you talk about Barry Humphries and some of the comedians back in the day. There was no political correctness. There was no walking on eggshells. There's no cancel culture, if you like it.
Yeah.
Where, in my world, I can't really be cancelled because I'll just come back here and I'm the boss. But, I guess you've got to tread a fine line, but you need to be really close to that line or it's just not funny. Because taking the piss and, it's almost like laughing at a funeral.
Yes. Yeah.
It's such an Australian way to be, which we get from the English and the Irish and the Scots.
Yeah.
Just if you can't laugh, you're going to cry.
Yeah.
I mean, it must be hard to navigate.
Well,
sometimes.
Look, there's no doubt that we have to watch ourselves a bit more now, and I have respect for that. If that's what, if you're genuinely upsetting people, then fair enough. You got to combine that with what you said, which is our job as comedians is to cross the line. I guess I arc up a little bit when I see someone crossing the line with a bad joke or with a bad observation, but it's kind of dining out on the abuse of it. I'm not as forgiving on that, but if I see someone cross the line with a really good observation and a really good joke, I forgive it a little bit more. So
if they don't set out to hurt someone,
that's right.
It's kind of organic, isn't it?
It's because I have said things and I have hurt people, and I didn't. Sometimes when you're firing, you don't know how it hits the mark, and when you've got the microphone and you're doing it, you do have to be careful. I've upset people in people who I really regret saying some of the things that I said, and you don't get a second go at that. You can't. You've already embarrassed them in front of a large bunch of people. So therefore, you have to be aware of it, and you have to. And at the moment, we are probably. I am treading a bit lightly, and I will occasionally cross the line, and maybe I'll ask them to cut it out. But it's a balancing act.
What's the advantage of having your characters? They can cross the line for you.
Well, in a way, yeah. But I'd probably still get the blame. But yeah, I mean, my characters aren't real smart when it comes to that sort of thing. So therefore, you can get down that road, but you have to be careful. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine. But then you look at some of the most successful comedians are pushing it way over the line. You look at Ricky Gervais. Bill Burr, Chappelle, they just jump right in. I mean, Gervais is refreshing. He's just causes this. I mean, that speech he did at the Academy Awards
Yep.
and put them all on show and didn't give a single fuck.
Bang,
was
bang,
one of
bang.
I thought, one of the great resets
Yeah.
in comedy I've ever seen.
Well, I think he can. He's good at fighting the good fight. I don't reckon I'm as confident fighting that fight as far as defending. All I know is I will come back to my intent, and if my intent is good, I will defend it. But if my intent is really to hurt someone, I will probably cop it. But yeah, I agree with you. And sometimes I watch those guys and I go, too far, too much, not funny. And then sometimes I go, oh God, I wish I'd thought of that joke. I wish I'd said that because that is a bang-on observation.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm just glad he said that.
Yeah. What I do is probably I turn the guns on myself, make me look stupid, as opposed to trying to make people around me or certain sections of the community. I'll do it more about me than I will about them. And that's probably I've always been like that. I haven't really been...
Well, I guess that's your evolution too, that from going from stand-up predominantly to, writing and TV and, the characters you play, you don't kind of have to put yourself in that dangerous space. You can let others do that.
I reckon if you're good at it, and those guys are good at it, I don't think I'm good at it. So therefore, it's probably not why I don't do it.
And who were your favourite comedians early on and today?
Well, you've said a few. Barry Humphries, obviously, he was a huge influence, and I eventually met him and got to work with him, which was absolutely incredible. Then there's, Woody Allen. I loved his work. It's funny when you admire people who have been soured in the media for one reason or another. You go, can I not like them anymore? You go, well, what he did for his art and these things happened. I don't know whether it's true or not, but I was really inspired by him. I mean, and then there are people like, Seinfeld, Larry David, and I've got to work with a couple of those, with Jason Alexander, all the people from Seinfeld. Who else? David Letterman. And then there's the local people like...
Letterman's a great interviewer, isn't he?
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
I think,
he's a very smart guy.
His latest show, his sit-down show rather than his Tonight show.
Yeah.
I remember I'm 8 years younger than you, but remember when we were growing, there was like 2 TV channels or 3. Well, I grew up in Bendigo, so there was 2. Yeah. There was the one, it was Channel 8, but it was a combination of 7, 9 and 10.
Right.
And then there was the ABC.
Yep.
And, night shows were the big thing, whether it was, Don Lane or who came after him.
It was Don and Bert and Ernie Sigley and
Graham Kennedy.
Legend.
That stuff was off tap.
Yep.
When you think back what they got away with.
Incredible. And it was, Graham Kennedy was 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week. Yeah. And they were getting up and doing an hour and a half of live television night after night after night. Yeah. And they didn't have big international guests. It was just a relationship with Kennedy and Bert Newton, and Bert's another one that I highly admire. And every night, so hard. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. I've got to know a lot of the WWE wrestlers because we're kind of their home base when they travel. Right. I've talked to like John Cena and Triple H, some of those guys about it, and in the 90s, 2000s, they were wrestling 3 and 4 nights a week in different cities, like 230 to 250 matches a year. Where you wake up in St. Louis, wrestle there, next night you're in Nashville, next night you're in New Orleans, and then you're on a tour bus.
Incredible athletes, incredible performers.
Whether their performers are scripted, they still get hit, bumped, and fall
down. They're still doing what they're doing.
And physically, it's incredible. They're acrobats, they're stuntmen, and they're fighters in their own right. But to do that, draw the comparison because to do it day after day after day, and they've got scripts and they're actors as well. They've got to come out and it's all.
What are they like? What are they like out of the arena? As in, what are they like as people? Do you find that are they egocentric? Are they just quiet people going about their business? What are they? Or are they combinations of?
I've found the ones that I've got to know really well are essentially gym rats. So they're drawn to people like me in places like this. And, some of them have come from the bodybuilding world where they've known me through doing my interviews and all that sort of thing. So, when they've made kind of like it, they've made it a destination point going to Melbourne. Oh, we'll have to go to Doherty's gym, I've heard, or someone told me about that. We've had all sorts of people train here. I'm really thrilled to have them here. But then we just don't talk about wrestling. We talk about, what machines we're going to try or this, or, what sort of routine they're doing. And I find most of them are fairly serious athletes,
Do they have fear in what they're doing? Or are they... I mean, obviously, I'm fascinated. We interviewed a boxer on our podcast the other day, and we talked about what it's like being in the ring. And he said, once you get in the ring, it's fine because it all comes into place. But he said it's the lead up and the walking through the crowd that's the hard part. That wears him out. But when he does what he does, he's fine. But
because that's where all the overthinking
that's
occurs.
right. That's right.
It's like you said, like Costa Sue, it doesn't get real till you get punched in the face, and then you go right. Yeah. And Tyson always said that. Just once you get hit, you go right. Now I'm in my zone.
Yeah.
But I guess the biggest difference between boxing, which we both seem to love, and professional wrestling is that one, you're working against your opponent. In boxing, you've got an enemy that you're trying to kill.
Yeah.
Wrestling, you're working with someone. So even though it's somewhat coordinated and scripted, you've got to work together or someone can get really, really hurt. So there's so much trust they have to put in the people they're working with because they can break their necks, break their backs, And a lot a them have died young, and it's from painkiller abuse because they're taking those falls and those hits 3-4 nights a week, and they end up living on pain pills because they can't do it any other way. And I've known Cena a lot over the years, and he never got sucked into that. He'd have an operation, say no pain pills. I've seen what's happened to my mates, but it's brutal. So I guess they have a fear, but they also have that drive we talked about earlier, where they decided they didn't want to have a fucking normal job, and work in a gym or at a supplement shop or be a PE teacher or whatever. They had this dream to be the best and to be on the road doing that. So the WWE has an academy. They're based in Connecticut, but they have a couple of academies where they might have 300 or 400 people go into a course, and maybe I think it's like 5 of them get through to the tour, and one of them becomes a star. And they do 3 or 4 of those camps a year. So for you to be in that 1%, of 1% of 1%, so it's, you get there, I guess you're way past thinking about fear or worrying about failure. You're like, you know what, I've got to be really, really good at this. And then some of them get through and they can't handle the rigours of being on like a talk show 4 nights a week or being in a ring 4 nights a week. They're really good in their tryouts and this, but it's so many of those pieces have to come together like that. And the same with, when I'm dealing with the professional bodybuilders, years back we'd have Grand Prix tours where we do 3 cities in Europe in a weekend after the Mr. Olympia. And same thing, those guys end up having to work together to get the food, to get the tanning done, to do all that. So I think at that level, you're way past fear.
Right.
You're way past fear. You know that you have to stay fit and healthy and strong to be able to do the moves they do. You can't abuse alcohol and drugs because, you're going to slip up and get hurt. So I think when you're dealing with the top end of anyone in any endeavour, they're kind of way past all that.
Right.
And you'd see that with people that are great in your industry, people that are great in front of a camera, great at stand-up, particularly the international guys that you would have seen and known over the years, the way they can just command an audience and just know their craft. Some people, I remember when I started promoting bodybuilding when I was about 25, I'm 61. So it was really early on, and it might have been 1993, and I brought Lou Ferrigno out here. He was doing a comeback. So he was a great bodybuilder, did pumping iron, then he got a gig as the Incredible Hulk, right? And it made him famous, made him a lot of money. And then he decided to do a comeback into bodybuilding after 17 years off, and he was 70 pound heavier, and he was about 40. And I brought him to Melbourne, and I was thrilled. It was like, I'd not met Arnold at that stage. I hadn't met any of my heroes. I'm like, shit, here I am, this kid from Bendigo, and I'm driving around in this little shitty sports car with Lou Ferrigno in the car. And I remember we got pulled up. I turned left and the light had gone red, and woo, and the cop pulled me up and he goes, he said, any excuse for going through that red light? And I said, yeah. I said, this prick's just rang on the phone. He said he's Lou Ferrigno's cousin. I've got the Incredible Hulk in the car. He's screaming at me. You're fucking pulling me over. You got lights flashing. He goes, yeah, right. I said, open the door. So he opens the door and this leg comes out. And he goes, oh my God. He goes, can I get your autograph? And Louis was not a real cop, but he was like where you get a fake doctorate or you get signed on by whatever. So he was like Officer Ferrigno, so got it and they had photos and got away. But where I was going with that, we went to Victoria Park to do... That's right. Remember Renee Kink?
Yep.
Well, he actually helped me set up the boxing ring here. We ended up being good mates. But Renee Kink was compared to Lou Ferrigno. They called him the Incredible Hulk. Remember, they painted him green and put him in the paper. So I guess it was Channel 9 contacted me and said, we've got this great idea. We want to get the Incredible Hulk, Louis, down there with Renee Kink and they can meet up. We get down to get out of the car and I'm walking across with... And Lou Richards. Remember Lou Richards?
Oh, yeah.
I'll never forget it. And it stuck with me and I learnt so much from this moment. Now, it's something like I've seen Arnold do when he's giving my media training, but I saw this day with Lou Ferrigno, with Lou Richards. They gave him a microphone, he looked at the cameraman in the room and he goes, I'm here with the Incredible Hulk, and he thinks he's the Incredible, and he just went into the moment live with no notes instantly. He didn't say, I'm going to say this and you're going to say that, can you stand here, can you stand there? He just went, fuck it. Yeah. And he was a savage.
This is Lou Richards?
Yes. Yeah. I go, this guy is a savage. He is actually... so confident, so in the moment. He doesn't need anyone's start, go, approval, pat on the back, you did well, wait a moment. He just goes, start filming. And I went, I want to be like that.
Well, it's that thing is, he's become that and he trusts it and he just lets go. So therefore he doesn't, like you say, think too much. But that part of him has grown. It's like a singer picks up the microphone and just goes bang. He's exactly the same, and you've obviously done the same thing yourself, which is immensely satisfying. That you found that part of yourself. It's great.
I'm very fortunate. I love what I do. I'll never stop. I've got no intentions of retiring, which leads me to this. What's next for you?
I don't do as much as I used to do. I just really want to work on projects with people, good projects with people that I really like. Now, basically, I don't want to go to Hollywood. I don't want to have my own TV show in Australia. But if someone said to me, I want to do a little show about this, and we're just going to do it as a podcast, I go, that's a good idea. I'll do that. So I'm doing the things that I'm passionate about, but I'm not doing things in terms of getting on a bigger screen or becoming more successful. I'm not retiring, but I'm coming in for a gentle landing.
But no stopping.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, obviously...
I mean, that's terrifying in itself, isn't it? The thought of not being you, not...
That's true.
Having an output or
it is very true, because I know that... Yeah, that's very true. I know that when I have had I went a few years ago before COVID, I went from doing 3 TV shows at the same time to almost doing nothing. And there was this period where I just was with myself and it affected my mental health. I lost purpose. And then I started doing a few small things and going, and to do that and feel worthiness and success through that made me feel good again. So, but I don't want to flip that and take on a huge project that wears me out, or I don't want to, no disrespect to the going in the jungle or being on a reality show. No disrespect to those people who do that. Yeah. But that's not for me. And I don't want to judge a quiz show I just want to, I like working with a small group of people, and occasionally I'll step out of that, but not too often. Like the ads are a good example. I love doing Russell Coight, but we didn't have enough jokes for another series. We just didn't have any jokes left. And they went, we'd like to do this commercial along this line. And I went, car commercial. Russell doesn't really like the car, so it gives me something to joke about. And we only do it for a week. I go, I want to do that. And ended up, I've done 2 commercials with them, and we go away, I have the best time because we get to do the character. I mean, when you're looking down the barrel of 6 or 8 episodes, you kind of go... It's a lot of jokes. It's a lot of jokes, and it's a lot of being funny. And, when I did do it, I loved it. So to get to do little projects like that, obviously you're paid well to do a commercial, but I didn't do it for the money. I did it for the opportunity to keep on doing that character and work with people I like. And I liked the agency that I was working with. So you come together and you go, we create something. Did it work? Great. Will we do it again? I don't know. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. So That's kind of my philosophy at the moment. Don't stop, but don't try to be everything to everyone.
Yeah, it's pretty good philosophy.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's great that you've, I think, just been uniquely Australian in everything you've done. You haven't tried to be sucked in by the American dream or to go to Hollywood or go over there and to try and get them to try and understand.
Yeah, there's no doubt there's people over there that you would love to work with, and, you know, to be on a Hollywood film would be very exciting. It's just, I mean, I was approached about some things, but the planets weren't aligned at that time, and I said no, and so be it. I mean, it really is, when it comes down to it, whether there's a small machine around you or a really, really big machine around you, it doesn't make it any different. The actual moment of what you're doing, what you're creating, is exactly the same. So therefore, if you're only doing it for a podcast, which, by the way, can go to the world, or you're doing it for a Hollywood movie, the feeling you get is the same. I mean, it really is. That worked today, that was good. And you must feel it when you do this podcast. You go, that worked. And then sometimes you go, that was a bit harder, or that was So do I aspire to be on a big Hollywood screen? No. I'm just happy. I'm happy doing what I'm doing, and I love Australia. Do I want to go for 6 months? Not really. A friend of mine, Eric Banner, does it very well. He lives in Australia and goes over and does his movies and sort of has a life here and a life over there. But you know, I mean, if the phone rang and what would I do? I don't know. I'd have to give it a bit of a think. But I don't think, unless it was something I really liked. I've been offered movies and I've read them and go, I don't know whether that's really me. So therefore, it really comes back to the people and the idea, not the money or the size of the screen.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, obviously you do what you love, and that's, I think, a great message to anyone out there that's, you know, trying to break into something outside of the box, outside of normalcy. Go for it. You know, you've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, just however big or small it is, have a go. Doesn't matter how. It's like, I get a lot of people go, I want to make a movie, I want to do this. You know what? Just make something. Just write it. It might be a poem. It might end up being a play. It might be a thing you turn into a podcast. But just see where it goes. And then if it's a good idea, it will grow. People who get caught on the destination, that's where you get in trouble. You go, you know, I just want to be a movie star.
Man. I mean, that's probably the wisest words you could tell anyone. It's a journey, not that it's cliche, but it's a journey.
Yeah.
And if you can enjoy the process and the ups and downs, enjoy the practice and enjoy the rehearsals, enjoy the rejection, just go, fuck it.
I remember when I first
started.
started.
I work in a bank.
I was watching something being created and I saw some mistakes in it. And I didn't say anything because I thought, well, I wouldn't know because I'm only some little junior guy that doesn't know about this stuff. Then it went through and all the things I predicted were exactly right. And I thought to myself, I do know about this and I do have a worth in it. I should have said something. So it's that having the courage to listen to your instincts and go, this is what I really think and this is the way I want to do it, is scary, but so satisfying when you believe in your own ability, your own wisdom, your own. It's a great journey to have, and you've obviously you're an indication of that. You've done exactly that.
Thank you, appreciate it. You know, I wanted to get you in. You're the first guest that I've interviewed that I haven't met or known before.
Oh, okay.
And you've made
it's
it really
an interesting journey, isn't it?
It is, and you've made it really easy. Thank you.
Oh, good.
I had a feeling we'd click because we've got a few mutual friends, but I just think you've had a fascinating story. I didn't want to just talk about your characters. I actually wanted to get.
Yeah, well, it's more.
Get you to tell your story a little bit about, you know, what gets you up and what drives you. And
everyone has a story. I mean, I love talking to cab drivers going to the airport.
Yeah. When you get a good one.
Yeah.
No, but it's true.
It's true.
I love anyone that's good at their job, whether it's a waitress or, you know, I travel a lot. I'm in America a lot. Sometimes I get in a cab and someone say, let me tell you about my city.
Yeah.
And this building over here, this happened. It was shut over there. And you go, wow.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like having a tour guide. And you give him a big tip and you go, that was so good.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care that he's a cab driver. He loves what he does.
Yeah.
You know, I've always thought, same like you said before, do what you love. Just find something you love doing. So if I've got to clean a bathroom, I'm just going to be really good at it. I don't care. That enables me to do this and so on. I think that's, people got to understand. You just got to try and enjoy the process of everything, you know. And so it was not Friday, but it was just didn't know how today would go, and it's been really, really easy. But I also just wanted to just say thanks on behalf of everyone that's enjoyed your body of work and your career and your unique take on with your characters, keeping Australia Australian, if that makes sense. Just you know where we all come from, and that generation coming up now that wouldn't understand it without you. So thanks, man. It's been a real pleasure having you on.
It doesn't get any better than if you can make people happy, and I've been very lucky that I've worked on great projects with great people and I've made people happy. And when people come up to me, I've learnt to be in the moment when people say nice things, because there was a time when I was a bit shy about it, but now I've learnt to stay in the moment and really connect with people. Because for someone to walk up to you and go, "I love what you do," is huge, and I really I love it. It's so gratifying.
Well, I reckon that's a good way to finish, man.
That's great,
I
mate.
love what you do. Thank you for coming on and
My
sharing
pleasure.
your story with us, man. It's been really, really enjoyable just to get to know you a little bit, and also to share your mindset with people.
Yeah, I hope that in some ways
Maybe someone can just take something from this and have a great life. Thanks for tuning in. Glenn Robbins.
Thanks.